Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversation with Masters. Today we have a special guest, Martijn. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm very happy you take the time and you put the energy to be here tonight with us.
I'm excited.
Amazing. Like always, I ask all the guests, please introduce yourself in the way that feels most authentic to you.
Okay, yes, I am. What am I? What do I do? It's always interesting to who am I? But then we get already in this non-duality discussion. So let's stick to my roles here in life and what I do. I'm married with my wife, Marianne, and we have two children. I'm 55 and I'm really into what I call business intuition. It's my work, but it's also a way of living. It's a way of being. So it also shows up in my daily life because I look at businesses in a different way. And that I'm doing that since 2007 when I started my Dutch company. And before that, I was a consultant for 10 years. And I studied management and organization. So this management, organization, entrepreneurship, doing business has been with me for a long time. And I like to combine that with a more intuitive approach, with more spirituality, non-duality, and see how can you use that in running your business. And that's what business intuition is about. I coach entrepreneurs, managers one-on-one on how to become more successful using intuition and intuitive methods. And I train entrepreneurs, managers on how to use their intuition. And I also teach and train how to use and how to facilitate business constellations. So yeah. I'm a field hockey referee in my spare time, so that's also something. And I like gardening and I like running and reading. So that's a bit about me.
It's amazing because you pick intuition and business dynamics, something what I read in the first place in your profile, and this attract my attention directly. So my curiosity now is how do you define intuition in the context of business constellation?
Well, for me, intuition, I have a definition of intuition which works everywhere. So intuition for me is the communication or your connection with a space where we're all one, with this space that is non-local and it's timeless. So it's actually connecting with source, with these deeper undercurrents. That's how I call it. So it's not your gut feeling. Some people think, yeah, I follow my gut feeling, but your gut feeling is not your intuition. Your gut feeling is always messed up with pain, with anxieties, with longings, with the past, with the future, with traumas. So this is not a very good guidance. And that's why you also see in articles, news articles, they say intuition doesn't work or intuition is not good. But then they equal intuition to your gut feeling. So intuition comes in 6 flavors. One flavor is the feeling. So it is this some kind of feeling in your gut, but it's beyond the gut feeling. It's the intuitive, clear feeling. And it comes very quickly and it's more soft than your gut feeling. It's quieter. It also comes in knowing. It's these flashes of insight. So that's a complete different channel. So it's like this, I I just knew this, or this just comes to my mind, or yeah, I don't know where it comes from. It's this flash of insight. Then you also have the seeing. So you get these images, or I sometimes get whole stories, videos in my mind for your mind in your mind's eye, right? And they give you information. And then you also have the hearing. It's sounds, it's voices, it's music in your head. You don't have to go to the shrink. You're not crazy if you hear voices. That's your intuition telling you things. And you can smell and also taste your intuition. So there's like intuitive tasting, intuitive smelling. So this is a wide variety of channels. And that's what people forget, that they only think it's the gut feeling, but it's so much more than that. And intuition doesn't come in business plans. It doesn't come in like marketing plans. It's metaphoric. So you smell coffee and then you need to find out, what is this coffee smell? What does it mean? Maybe it means you need to slow down, or maybe it means you need to drink a cup of coffee with that and that person. Or maybe it means your grandmother is watching over you. It could be all kinds of things, and you need to find out for yourself. So you need to develop and learn your own intuitive language. So that's what intuition is for me, and it brings you to information that normally in your business you don't use because you're thinking, you're analyzing, and when you use this more intuitive layer, you get so much more information from a broader perspective, and it may help you to take decisions that are much better, not only for you but also for the company, for the people, and for the planet.
Mm. It's very nice you pick the rational side of us, right? We in businesses and all these people, what we work with them, maybe they are more rational, they are more in mind. So now the question is, how do you know when to trust the system versus your own analysis?
What do you mean by trust the system?
When you trust that the intuition and feeling what you have, right, in the
Instead of
system,
the
instead
rational.
instead of the rational, yes, sir.
Yeah, that's the whole development. You need to. I always make the comparison with it's a friend. It's an inside friend of yours that gives you information. And you can say, shut up, and I don't want to listen to you, and you're stupid. And then that friend will not tell you as much anymore. And it will maybe also come in a grouchy ways. So you need to build a relationship again with your intuition. And the way to do that is to listen to it or hear it or see it or sense it or feel it or smell it. And then act as if you trust it. So I would always try to trust it in a specific part. Like, okay, let's try it for one day, or let's only try it when I'm starting to eat food, or I decide on what to eat food, or what food to eat, or that way you build a relationship. And then what you could do is that you write down your intuitive information. And then after 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, 1 month, you look back and you see, okay, this was the intuitive information, this was the decision, and now I see it was not really my intuition. Or wow, this was my intuition, but I thought that this smell of coffee meant this, but it means something else. So there you develop this relationship and you can build trust because you can see like, okay, this worked. Oh, this was a very strange intuitive insight, but it really helped me to get that deal, for example, or to hire the right people. And yes, the rational mind is wow, it has been activated in us, all of us, in a very strong way in schools and every time. Yeah, but you need to explain it. You need to understand it. You need to analyze it. So you also need to calm down your irrational mind a bit. And that most of the time, I work with business and family constellations like you do. And I've also worked a lot with a representative for this rational mind. And it's like, oh, yes, yes, and I'm strong. And then when the person says, I'm going to rely a little bit more on my intuition now, and you can take a rest. And then you feel like this person is going like, wow, I've been working so hard. So the rational mind is also there to protect us or that because we want to control. And if we can relax a little bit in that, it takes out, it saves a lot of energy because this rational mind also wants to rest and to be a little bit less important.
Yeah, so if I understand right, I think intuition can be trained, very simple, right? And all this rational side is the linear thinking versus systemic thinking. And here is the glitch, here is the shift. And it's beautiful to understand both of them, the part in schools. And of course, when we are little, the linear thinking we learn, right? From the school. If
Yeah.
you do this, you go to school, you learn, you'll have a good job, but it's not always like that. So, take some years to understand that. For me, it was like that in any way.
Yes, the same here.
Now we shift a little bit, Martin, to organizational patterns and systemic insights in some way. I would like to understand you more about what are the most common hidden dynamics you observe in businesses.
Yeah, that's a very general question. But what I see, what happens a lot. Well, first, let me say that constellation work and the systemic work also is a way to go to that intuitive layer. So you can use your intuition, these 6 channels, but you can also use visualizations and other techniques and constellations. So that's also what I like about constellations. They dive deeper and find the root cause of these issues. And what I see a lot in organizations, Well, actually, it's like in all systems. There is to be everything needs to be included because systems want to be complete. That's the innate what the systems do. They want to be complete. And what we tend to do in organizations, but also in other systems, we tend to exclude things. Sometimes it's things from the past, things we don't like from the past. So I see a lot of companies that lost contact with their roots. What was the spark that ignited them? What was the reason of being? And as soon as people and teams can connect with that again, a lot of life energy returns. Maybe that's how I can explain it. There are other things that are quite often excluded, and that's emotions. So in a company, everything needs to be rational, and then the emotions will show up in a nasty way. So if we can include that things are also sometimes sad, that things that we do also in a company might hurt somebody or might have an effect on somebody that's not always nice. So we need to include also the effect that our company has in the world. And of course, we want to bring beautiful things to the world. We want to sell beautiful things or services, but it always has a shadow side, and it's also good to include that shadow side in your company. For example, well, I always use the example of an arm company that makes firearms. In a way, it protects people because you can fire it to protect yourself, but it also kills people. So, and we tend to see, okay, we are brave and we save the world by having firearms, but no, we're also causing death with our company. And because we believe in this is good for the world, but we need to include this death part as well. And if you don't include that, it will show up in nasty ways in your company. And that's also what I see. And this is a very extreme example, but there are other examples like with candy or with other things that people sell that it has we need to embrace this shadow as well. Yeah.
Yes, shadow. It's like you're paint behind, maybe, right? A shadow.
Yes, yes, there's a lot of shadow there. Yeah.
Right, amazing, Martin. So another question what I have in mind and I would like to discuss with you is how do you manage the tension between hierarchy and systemic awareness in one company?
What is the first one?
Hierarchy.
Yes, that's an interesting one. One, all systems have a natural order. Family system have the order of generations and age. Business systems also have order, and the order we are most familiar with is the hierarchy. So it is the boss and the boss of the boss and the manager and the CEO and the board of directors. But what I see in systems is that's not the most influencing hierarchy. There is even a hierarchy in orders. So the hierarchy is not the highest in order. So people can be the highest in hierarchy, but they are not systemically, they don't have the power. So there's age as well. So some people are older, some are younger. There's seniority. How long have you been in the field or in the business? And how long have you been with the company or with the team? There's also an order in functions. So one function has a bigger impact than other functions. And there's one example from a Bulgarian company I work with. That was the CEO of this company was a young lady. I think she was early 30s. And she had an issue with her management team, but also with the whole organization that they didn't accept her leadership. And then I said, okay, so let's see what orders are here. And then it turned out that she was the daughter of the previous CEO, the owner of the company, and her uncle was also there. So, in a way, she was younger than the other team members. She had just entered the company, so her seniority was also lower. And then she was the CEO. So here she had to say, okay, I honor the fact that I'm younger and I honor the fact that I'm just entering the company and you've been here for such a long time. And at the same time, I'm the CEO, but in that order. So she couldn't say, I'm the CEO, you have to do what I say. No, she first had to honor the other orders. So that's how hierarchy and the other orders in companies, how they interact with each other. And I often see this that they first need to honor the other orders and then they can step in the position of the hierarchy.
Have you make maybe a constellation? Because in the constellation, they show up exactly how they're coming in the company.
Yeah, I have another good example that might also help people. If you see the order of functions, the highest is the function that creates the framework for the rest. So that's the CEO, but sometimes it's also the marketing. They bring in the money or the sales. And then is the primary process. So it's the doctors in the hospital, it's the teachers in the schools. And then it's the support for this primary function. And then it's the support for the whole organization, HR, IT. And once it was in Romania, actually. I worked with this team from HR team, and they said, well, people don't listen to us. They don't follow up on our advices. We give all kinds of advice and they don't follow up on it. And then we had a constellation and with the functions. So I had all the different functions in the organization and the HR function. And the HR guy stood right in the middle, standing up like he was the sun and everything turned around the sun. Well, that didn't work. And then I didn't even intervene and do anything. But suddenly, this representative for the HR could sense he needed to do something. So what he did, he knelt down and he became in service of all the other functions, and that made instant a change in everyone. They said, "Okay, now we can see you. Now we can hear you." So only going from I'm above all of you to I serve you was the biggest difference that he could make. Yeah.
That's nice. So, Martin, if the listeners they would like to come in contact with you, what is the best channel for you?
The best channel is send me an email. You can go to my website, intuition-in-business.com, and there you can find my email address. You can find what I do, or you go to LinkedIn and there you see my profile, Martijn, Martijn, Meima, Meima. So it's quite a difficult name. It's a Dutch name. So intuitioninbusiness.com is the best one.
But you are quite known in the field, so the people, it's very easy to come
If
in
you
contact
Google,
with you.
yeah, you
Now we go a little bit, we shift a little bit in systemic and professional ethics and boundaries, right? So you mentioned you train two people around the globe. So what are the core quality of a professional business constellator?
Yeah, for me, the most important thing is your inner stance. It's how you show up in a constellation. How present are you facilitating? So it's not about the process of the constellation. I can tell you that in 5 minutes, and you know what it is. It's not about the systemic interventions. There are about 3-4 interventions you can do. That's all. It's really about when you decide, how do you decide, or where does the decision come from to do something or not, to be or to act. And it's not always about just being there. It's also about taking action, but it's the dance. I always call it the dance. It's the dance with the field, with the information, with the representatives, with the client, and then deciding, okay, now I need to do something and now I don't. Now I need to act and now I need to hold the space. So for me, and that's also what I pay a lot of attention to in my trainings, is how do you become this space holder? How do you go to this empty center where there's nothing and there is everything? And actually, that's the interesting link with intuition. That's also where your intuition is. So if you let go of everything and you can become like really aligned, you'll tap right into your intuition. So you can ask your intuition, do I need to do something or not? What is the intervention that's needed here? Otherwise, it's also about this holding space, and you can hold that best if you're really aligned. I always say like aligned this way, but also in the horizontal way. So that's for me the most important skill or capability of a facilitator. Yeah.
And attitude too, maybe you look at that because many people they speak about that.
Yeah, attitude comes from the inner sense. So if you're in this silent point of peace where there's nothing and there's everything, you act and you have an attitude of openness, of not wanting to change, not needing to fix anything. Because I see a lot that people see it as a puzzle. It's like, oh, now I need to do something with the representatives. They need to say something and I need to fix something. It's like a puzzle to be solved, which is not true. But, and that's the thing, especially in business constellations, there's an organization, they have all these ideas about, well, they heard about business constellations, they want it, and they pay you, and then they want a solution. So they will get a solution, or they will get a path to a solution. And then as a facilitator, you have to let go of everything and be in this place where you don't need to fix, you don't need a solution, you don't want to solve anything. And that's a very interesting place, because there's a lot of tension going to, I need to fix, I need to do something. And then if in your family of origin you also fixed a lot, and you solved a lot, and that's what your pattern is, yeah, you need to really look at that and go to this place where you don't have to fix, you can just be, and then things are going to be fixed, but not because you want to fix it. Yeah,
Yeah, so inner work is very important too in the same way, even
absolutely. Yeah.
if we work with businesses.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you work family constellations, business constellations, you need to do this inner work. Even I think if you're a consultant, or even if you're a manager, because I also use it in my daily life. It's a state of being which also helps you facilitate, but it also helps you to manage, or to lead, or to be a good marketeer, or be a good husband. So for me, this state of being is crucial.
How do you maintain neutrality when powerful leaders have a strong agenda?
Well, first is look at your own patterns of leadership and hierarchy, and yeah, and the patterns you have with strong dominant leaders, or dominant parents. Mostly they did that, so that you don't project or step in the role that you had in your family system. And then again, it's going to this place, this Buddha place, maybe this place of inner peace. And from there, yeah, because it's not a place where you're soft and you're moving along with everything. It's also a place where you can be very powerful and say, okay, we'll go to until here and not further. Or I don't like the way you say this to me. So it's also putting the boundaries, or saying, please leave it for now, or please can you not intervene now and let it unfold. So it can also be very direct and very boundary setting, but from a place not of anger or not of irritation, but from love, or just being. And then you can say it, and most often the leaders will just say, oh, okay, okay, because they feel this presence of.
Amazing. Many insights with you and many golden nuggets, if I can say so. And I hope many people they can pick up them from the conversation, right?
Yes, yes.
Now we shift again in the future and integration. Wow, something big, right? So, how do you help leaders integrate systemic insights into long term strategy, maybe?
Yeah, that's a good question, because when I work with family constellations, the integration is done during the process. It's more like a ritual, a healing ritual, and I don't talk about it anymore. I say, okay, just let it do its work. And then I work a lot with entrepreneurs, where there's a mix. There's some kind of business influence and there's family influence. So sometimes I talk about it, but sometimes I just let it be, because it's doing its work. Then when I work for bigger organizations and in teams and leaders, I also say that part of the work is already done, because in the constellation there is a shift which changes the energy. And especially if you work with more than one person, like with a team, you need to do some integration, but also some way of sharing the experience, because people have seen a constellation, but I saw it this way and you may have seen it this way. So afterwards I always say, first we take a break, and preferably I like to go outside barefooted in the grass to really let the energy do its work. Because if we immediately go to the head again, it's just stopping the flow that has been started with the constellation. So I'm really careful in letting people first integrate it for themselves. So I say, okay, maybe write something down, but not like what are the three takeaways. It's more like what touched you, and maybe also what kind of interesting thing came up that you don't understand, but you need to notice, or that you need to write down. And also, maybe you don't have words for it, but then write a metaphor or maybe draw something. So I open up still the intuitive space, so that not everything is lost. Because if we put it into words and understandable things, we lose about 20-30% of or what can be used. And then when they come back, I say, okay, here we have a flip chart. And there I make a 4 quadrants. It's one X of what can I do and what shall we do. So it's the I and the we. And it's the what can we do now and what can we do in the future. So what is like this timeline for now and into the future. And then I just let them write down and put sticky notes on it for what they thought of. So there could be a sticky note of a yellow cloud because that's what they sensed in the constellation. Or it could be my left shoulder started aching when the representative of the manager talked about this and this issue. So it could be very abstract, but it could also be we need to create a ritual to honor the founders of this company. So it can also be very practical. Yeah.
Yes. And if you have a message for the world, what will be, Martin?
Wow. A message for the world. Yeah, and that's again to this place, go to this place where we're all one. Like your book, You Are Me, I Am You. If we go to this, and you can go, there are many ways to go there, and take all decisions from that place because they will create more unity instead of division, and they will create more wholeness than separation. So I really encourage everybody in their daily life and also especially in their businesses, take decisions not from your ego or from I want to reach somewhere, but from this place, inner place of peace, this empty center in you. Yeah.
Yeah, I read a lot about Barry Hellinger. I don't have this opportunity to meet him. When I wake up, he don't was here. So yeah, was late, right, for me. And he speak about this empty middle. You have mentioned too several times, no? And for the listeners, what is exactly empty middle? How it's for you? I don't know.
Yeah. I come from different schools. So, and the intuitive school calls it the inner point of peace. So it's actually where there's everything and there's nothing. So all dualities, they dissolve there. It is maybe the non-dual 0 point. And it's very difficult to explain because our left hemisphere wants to see in right and wrong. It wants to be black and white. But this is the place where there's no black and no white. There's a place where there's black and white at the same time. So that's for me the place where all these dualities dissolve. And there are different ways of coming. Meditation works. I work with the Sedona method. It's a release technique where you get there. Constellation work can get you, breath work can get you there. From a systemic point of view, what the facilitator and what Bert Hellinger meant with it is that it's a place, actually it's not that empty because it's where you can integrate all your, and I always point behind me, all your ancestors, all their pain, all their joy, all the wars, all the peace, everything that happened there. You can be with that in that center without being overwhelmed, without being torn apart by it. It's just there. It's acknowledging what is. That's also what he writes. And then it's also being with your position as a facilitator and your client so that you know I'm the facilitator, that's my client. So it's also the division there. It's also about, for me, about connecting the earth and heaven or universe. It's being really present without, not in the future, not in the past. It's like really being present in the here and the now. And it is in a place where you don't want to fix, you don't want to control, you don't want to do anything, you don't want to solve anything. And it's the place where there are no defense mechanisms anymore. You're not acting from patterns from the past, but you're acting from nothingness, from emptiness, and it's difficult to explain because we don't have words for it, but it's also difficult to grasp because our left hemisphere cannot grasp it because it's just not able to. So it's something that your right hemisphere understands very well. So we do understand it, but not with our left hemisphere. So yeah, that's the place.
In the middle of the center, Martin.
In the middle of the center and not there.
And not there. Wow, amazing. So, Martin, now in the final, the last curiosity what I have, because you speak a lot about business intuition and that it's amazing. So, how do you see the role of intuition evolving in organization? over the next 5, 10 years, maybe?
How I see it or how I wish to see it?
If you wish, yeah, it's okay.
Well, I've been working since 2000. Back then, intuition and business in the same name was very strange. It's like, how can you combine the two? I even got like this management team who said, we want to work with intuition in our company, but it should not harm the company. So that's where we come from. Right now, I see intuition as a more normal place in life. Although sometimes it's really called this gut feeling, but I think also intuition and these hunches and this clear knowing, it's more present and more acceptable. Not everywhere. And what I hope, but also what I see happening is that it's now moving from your personal life, because I see people who use it in personal life. Coaches use it all the time and therapists in their interaction with their clients. But I hope and I see it happening to enter the workspace. So instead of saying, okay, what is the to-do list for today? Or, well, we have 5 points in our agenda, and did you reach the targets today? There should be an agenda point saying, what does your intuition tell? What kind of metaphor comes up for you when you look at our team? Or what kind of smell belongs to this client relationship? So that we are using these intuitive channels to get information in our teams, in our organizations, that we can use to make the organization better, not only for the sake of the organization, but like I said, if you use this intuitive information, it's also for the sake of the larger good. And then we're not going to take decision of spilling oil in the sea. Then we say, okay, no, I am the sea and I'm the person fishing in the sea. So this doesn't make sense. So then there will be a different solution for the problem. And that's what I hope, but also what I think is possible now, that also these intuitive methods like constellations is also being brought more to the business world, and that will help people to have a different look on what is business is it, what is it about. It's also what I describe in my book, the effortless entrepreneur. It's a different way of looking at doing business. And I hope and I see that this is changing also with new generations coming in, because new generations have a different idea of what is important in life, what is important in business. So yeah, I see the change, and I really want to contribute to that by giving like tools and intuitive methods and intuitive language to this change.
Wow, Martin, amazing. Thank you very much for the insights and everything what you bring today here in the podcast.
You're welcome.
And I hope I see you soon around the globe to one maybe of your workshops.
Yes, you're more than welcome. Thank you.
Thank you again. My name is Marius, and thank you for listening.